What do you think? Like your first year?
You always have the right time to say.
Two sections.
What color do you say? Right? Don't worry.
I can do the play in both, but I'm not.
You want to hear about that stuff?
Excuse me, will you please be quiet? No, we'll make a wee start. Apologies for the late start, but Father Stephen did tell you last week it was foretold that the minute Amanda goes to step up here, something goes wrong. So there we have it. But it didn't wait until I stepped up, it went wrong beforehand. So, but hopefully we're good to go without throwing Father Stephen out. And just anybody that's joining us on the webcam, you're very welcome. So we are on week 2 of our series on the female Carmelite saints. Father Stephen started off last week with an introduction and a Carmelite life and their formation. And just to say, if there's anybody here that didn't see last week, if there's anybody on viewing the night that didn't see last week's, I would strongly encourage you to go on the Turn Rebecca page and watch last week's, because it's really informative and it'll provide a great understanding for the rest of the talks that are coming up. So the night the saint I'm speaking of is Teresa of Avila. So we heard loads about her last week. But that's okay, because she's a very vital part of the formation of the Descalced Carmelite, so I don't have to go into too much detail on that. So Teresa has become to be my most favourite saint and my guide, hence why I get to speak about her. She's been a powerful influence in my life, and I just hope I can do her and Christ through her some justice by speaking on her. So setting out the plan to do the talk, they knew it was me, hands down. I was doing Teresa, and I was so excited to do Teresa, but I have to be honest, down at Matt, when it came to completing it, I got totally overwhelmed. For me, she's an absolute powerhouse. And throughout her life, she has done so much and achieved so much, so it would take more than one talk to give an idea of what she has done. My issue that I was getting overwhelmed with was being able to speak about enough of her life, and wanting to speak of it all so that you get the whole picture of what she's like. But I'll share the parts of you that I feel influenced me the most and what I feel could relate to us all. So just basic overview. So Teresa was born on the 28th of March 1515 and to a wealthy, respected family. She speaks very highly of her parents, saying that both her mother were very devout people whom she never seen inclined to anything but virtue, and said they had so many virtues. Her father she describes as a compassionate man with a great heart. He particularly loved giving aid to the poor and the sick, and she adds that she never heard him swear or speak slander about anyone. He was very fond of reading spiritual books, and he made sure he passed the same trait on to his children. Teresa openly claimed herself to be her father's favourite. Terrible. Even though a favourite of our house is here tonight. So Alonso, her father, he was married twice. His first wife passed after 3 years of marriage, leaving behind 3 children until he met Beatrice. Until he met Beatrice, that's Teresa's mother. So Alonso and Beatrice, they had 9 children together then, Teresa being the third of them. She describes her mother as a woman of remarkable beauty, but extremely modest and unaware of such beauty. She said her mother was a very calm and understanding woman. She made sure all Christian practices were observed in her home, having the daily routine for the family of morning prayer, mass, grace before meals, and extracts from books on the lives of the saints read out for everyone. Her mother also had a keen interest in reading different kinds of books, so she would have been very drawn to romance novels, and she loved reading these, and the interest passed on to Teresa as well. The father didn't approve of the books, so they always had to be hidden from the father. The reading of these books, Teresa said, was her mother's one pleasure amidst a life of great sickness and suffering. Sadly, her mother passed away at the young age of 33 when Teresa was just 13. It caused a lot of distress to Teresa. She felt very much alone after this. Her older siblings were all grown up and busy with their own lives, and the younger siblings were too young to support her or console her. So what did she do? She stood before Mary, an image of Mary, and she looked up at Mary, and she just spoke to Mary, and she asked Mary to be her mother. So from that moment, she was always conscious of the aid of Mary. Teresa herself was also known to have great beauty and was considered very lively and charming. She was not just beautiful, but also had many talents, and was very blessed with a good family and very good examples. Teresa's favourite pastime was reading, and as years progressed, she too, like her mother, was very excited with the idea of romance from the romance novels. But she would soon put these then to blame for her going astray from her virtues. She would later feel great shame for the influences that these books had on her. And when I say going astray, I would be inclined to use the term way more lightly than her. What she considered this to be would actually be extremely normal in our times. Nonetheless, though, she considers these things to be some of her most wicked sins. And like I said before, she was a beautiful woman, and she became aware of this. She became very concerned with her looks, and she began to look and dress in a way to impress and charm those around her. Teresa always felt that had stripped her of her virtue, but at the same time, she liked the attention that she got from others because of it. Vanities that she would later be seen as a massive downfall for her. She considered all these hours wasted on vanity to be damaging to her soul. I would say she's pretty tame in comparison to the vanities in our world today. But if we had her view, how damaged would we consider our souls to be? Teresa's vanity consisted of wearing fine clothing, looking after her hair, hands, expensive perfumes. But for that, she called herself wicked and said these were obstacles to following the path her parents set for her. I can only imagine her opinion now of the vain habits that we all have nowadays, our eyebrow treatments, eyelash treatments, especially you feller, hair colour and cut, nails, tan, all our weight loss obsessions, makeup, clothes. How much time do we take away from God? Teresa had some very great examples to lead her in her younger life, as I already said, but she also had examples that weren't so good. And I want to speak about this for a bit, as it is one of the biggest influence that I've taken from her. In her early years, she was very close to some of her cousins that would frequent her house. She loved the company, and they too were very drawn to her. As time passed, she got closer with her cousins and would spend more and more time with them. These cousins were slightly more exposed to the ways of the world than she was. They would share stories with her, tell her of their experiences, tell her of their other friends and acquaintances. They would gossip about others, and then even introduce her to people that they knew as well. Teresa's very discreet about this, but she does give enough to suggest that she had a relationship with one of these contacts. She recalls that her father was not happy with these cousins and with Teresa spending so much time with them, but as they were family and always around, it couldn't be avoided. Doesn't this all seem pretty normal? Well, not to Teresa. She reflects on this as being some of the most damage she caused to her soul. She became very accustomed to the behaviours of those she spent so much time with, and found that talking and gossiping with one of these cousins began to amuse her, and she liked it. And she liked the idea that it pleased her cousin when she behaved in this way. This person was a massive influence on her, and it was evident it was beginning to steer Teresa in a different direction. Speaking of this person, Teresa said, "Until we became friends and she took me under her confidence, I do not believe that I ever turned away from God." The influence of this person changed Teresa to the point where she describes herself as almost losing her soul's natural disposition to virtue. This became a really big part of her journey and carried on throughout her life. She strongly believed in the importance of the company that we keep. We become who we spend our time around. If we're following a path in which we want to walk towards Jesus, we must walk with like-minded people. Our company should always be an encouragement for us, a good influence and an inspiration to do better. It's human nature. We will behave in the same manner as those we spend our time with. Myself, for instance, what am I seeking for my life right now? I want Christ. I want to know all about him. I want to love him. And I want to always be moving towards him. It's my own responsibility to go after that and properly maintain it. If I spend my time with company that revolves around gossip, speaking negatively of people, envy, jealousy, anger, just all general negativity and vanities, will that be pleasing to my heart, and will it feed what I'm wanting and desiring right now? Absolutely not. In fact, it'll instill ill feelings within me of guilt and feelings of failure, and this will push me away from Jesus. I want to surround myself with people on the path towards Jesus just as I am, those I can learn from. I have to say, I strongly agree with Teresa that those in our life will either bring us to Jesus or lead us away. I personally found this a valuable lesson from her. I've learned to listen to my heart. So who do I surround myself with? First and most importantly, my family. My husband is my greatest signpost to Jesus. He shares in my love of faith. He wants to grow closer to Jesus. We speak openly of Jesus and where he's acting in our lives. We walk together on our faith journey, and we encourage each other as much as we can. Through the help of my husband, we bring faith to our children, or we try. We speak of Christ openly in our house and try to always lead the children in the best direction we can. We say grace for our children, and we pray at bedtime with our children, and we never end the night without telling each other God bless. Teresa urges that we start young with our children and always pay special attention to their influences and who they're around. Secondly, there's my friendships. I have a circle of friends that are a huge aid in my life during my faith journey. The difference they make in my relationship with Jesus is amazing. We're all like-minded in our daily lives, and that is to grow in faith and come closer to Christ. We pray together, we go to Mass together, we support each other, we keep each other on the path to faith. We share our lives, we guide each other as best we can, and most importantly, we respect one another enough to tell if we're straying off the path. I cannot express enough how powerful it is to be surrounded by those who encourage us and those who love us enough that they would hate to see us go astray. Lastly, is those who shepherd us and guide us, our priests. Teresa expresses strongly how important it is to have a good priest that we trust and can talk to for guidance. She says that everyone on the journey towards Jesus should have someone that can guide them spiritually. So back to Teresa and how she came to the influence of her youth. Her father and her older sister became increasingly worried about her and how the company she was keeping was changing her, but no amount of talking to her would change it. After months of this, the decision was made for the best interest of Teresa to send her off to a convent. The timing of this was selected perfectly to coincide with her older sister marrying and moving out. The move was took as if it was in Teresa's best interest because her sister was now married, moved out, and Teresa needed somebody as a role model as a mother to care for her. So she was not happy about the move, and she was rather uncomfortable for the first week until she found she liked the company of the sisters there, and they really liked her too. She gradually began to see the good habits of her childhood return, and she learned how much mercy God can show to those who are put in good company. Teresa remained in the convent for a year and a half, and she had many great influences from some of the sisters there. She enjoyed life there and became accustomed to the ways there, although she was very reluctant to become a nun. However, by the end of her stay there, she became more willing to take the veil, but just not at that convent. She insisted that if she did do it, she would have to be the convent of the Incarnation, as she had a friend there. She did, in fact, go there and make her profession there. So soon after this, she became extremely ill, and she had to return to her father's home to be taken care of. She suffered an awful lot, and nobody had any explanation of what was wrong. She suffered from pains in her heart, fainting fits, and for a lot of the time, loss of consciousness. Doctors couldn't help, so her father arranged for her to see a healer that he'd heard great reports of. So she travelled to the town where the healer was and stayed there for 9 months. During the treatment for her cure, she became no better, but instead she became worse. Disturbed by how the treatment left her family wanted to take her away from her. So severe was her sickness that she fell into a coma, and they presumed her dead. They had her grave prepared, and they had wax poured on her eyes. So it says she recalls when she woke up, feeling the wax on her eyes. After 3 days then, she woke. When she woke, she had a deep love of Jesus and a really strong determination. Although she did wake up, she remained paralyzed for quite some time. She became so depressed and desperately wanted to return to her convent. And so she began to pray to St. Joseph for her healing. Through the intercession of St. Joseph, she was given healing, and she had a great devotion to him from then on. From that time on, Teresa's road to obedience, humility, and prayer. She developed within her a great fear of displeasing God. She knew the abundance of his love and mercy for her, and she deeply feared being anything but obedient to him for this reason. Through obedience grew her great love of God. She transformed from being obedient out of fear to being obedient out of love of God. She said, I know the power of obedience is to make things easy which seem impossible. I'll say that again, because I know the power of obedience is to make things easy which seem impossible. Our yes to God contains so much more than we'll ever know, and what he makes happen in our life when we say yes. So the final area that I want to speak to you regarding Teresa, the most important one in my opinion is her prayer life. This was actually my biggest attraction there. Her special prayer journey started when she was given a book from her uncle, and it was called The Third Alphabet. This book contained lessons on the prayer of recollection. Recollection prayer is a prayer of silence, solitude, and union with God. It's a process of being in the presence of God and learning to switch off all distractions internally and externally, and the practice of concentrating on only God. Teresa was instantly drawn to this method and began to follow the instruction of the book to perfect the prayer. Using this method of prayer, the object is to create an atmosphere for God deep within your heart, visualizing an image of Christ and his passion and what he did for us. So the one over here, you would use that one to visualize. Her method was to try as hard as she could to bring Jesus into her heart. She maintained that she was never gifted with a talent for intellectual meditation, and her imagination was so sluggish that no matter how hard she tried to picture our Lord's human presence, she never succeeded. So at this point is when Teresa would take whatever means necessary to enter into prayer. She would use whatever she had in order to keep her thoughts and focus on Jesus. Teresa found that books allowed her to keep her eyes on Christ. She would read books constantly and would never be without a spiritual book. Books were a protection and comfort for her, and as long as she always had a book, her thoughts never became disturbed. Teresa is pretty much defined by her teaching of prayer. To be more specific, mental prayer. Teresa defined prayer as nothing else than a close sharing between friends. It means taking time frequently to be alone with him we know loves us. Prayer, as Teresa teaches, is so much more than words. Prayer is time. It's time given to Jesus. Prayer is an intimate relationship with Jesus. It's not your words he cares about. It's simply you. Prayer doesn't come from here. It comes from and here. Think of our earthly friends. Do we use repetitive or rehearsed words when we're speaking to them? We don't. We give ourselves over to them. We give them our happiness, our sadness, our worries, our triumphs, and we invite them to walk on our life journey with us. Jesus deserves the same courtesy as those friends. Actually, he deserves more, and he wants more. He wants to be your everything, and for you to be his. We ask for the help of our friends and those we trust. Isn't Jesus enough to turn to when we need help and support? A quote by Teresa says, "You pay God a great compliment asking great things of him." Mental prayer, of course, isn't always easy. It certainly does come with its difficulties, and nobody knew this better than Teresa, as she suffered from the dryness of prayer for up to 20 years. The advice she gives us is to enter into solitude with the Lord. Just be still, never expect consolations, and don't try to understand what it is that he's doing within you at these times. When we begin to question and try to make sense of what Christ is doing within us is when danger comes. We open ourselves to many thoughts, distractions, doubts. Just trust that he's at work in your life. It's not for you to know what he's doing. Just trust that he is at work. Mental prayer is hard as beginners and can be hard for some time. It's difficult to enter solitude. Distractions and worldly issues present themselves in our thought. Our past and our struggles enter our thoughts, but perseverance is key. We must be determined to push forward and pursue our friendship with Christ. Invite him into your everything. Keep him present with you in everything you do. I'll round it up now, because like I said, it's easy to keep talking about Teresa, but you would need more than one night. I said before we should have a full retreat on her. Like she has done that much, and there's so much involved with her. She was an amazing witness to Christ. The last 20 years of her life was when she travelled all over Spain, founding convents, 17 in total. She wrote numerous books, and I recommend these all. Check out her books. Her books are amazing, and you won't be disappointed. And I have to say, what drew me there in her books was always her wit and her personality. She was just very, very stern, very straight, and just said things like it is. For me, I just found she was really easy to relate to. So Teresa died in 4th of October 1582. That's me. You get your questions now. So, question 1. What vanities present the most in your life, and do you feel they keep you from time with God? Of the vanities that you talk about, which one of those what could you do without this week, and instead spend that period of time in solitude with Jesus? Think of three people close to you. Do you feel they encourage you in your faith, and how? So you can work away in your discussions. You just turn onto your fours. What, for what, 20 minutes? 15 minutes? You do the. You do the. You didn't. You didn't. No, you didn't. Right. Seeing as you were also forthcoming and willing last week to give all the feedback, well, I'd say we'll go to each group just and ask each group to give us a wee bit of feedback. So, um, whoever it springs to from each group, you can work away and right. So we'll go with the first one. So, how did you find the first one? So, what vanities present the most in your life, and do you feel they interrupt your time spent with God? So. Our group up here was first. I'm talking all night, so go Kitsy. Hmm. Huh. Hmm. Aye. 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 And then there's the vanity out of fear of what people are thinking of you. Aye. Hmm. Hmm. Aye. Sinead? Oh, it's a 10 out of 10 there, wasn't it? A 10 out of 10. Aye. Aye. But the point in Teresa's life was that how much time do you give to it? So that's necessary getting ready. Right, Teresa, go for your wee group here. Because you're there out of your group. Very good. Thank you. You couldn't break her. Right. So somebody, Caroline, here you go. Caught you hiding there. Go for it. Also, we can hear you anyway. My mustache waxed. So, Caroline, what you're saying is we all have to learn from your example then. Good. Very good. Very good. Like, what group of us? Who was we Eastons? Right. So Anne. All right. All right. Okay. Right. So question three. Um, so that's going from the vanities that you discussed. Is there one of those that, like, and this is means this week it's productive for this week? Is there one you could do without this week and instead give the time and thought to Jesus? So, shout. Which group? Mm. Aye. 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 That's the next one. That's the next one. Mm. Thank you. So, is there something for everybody that they could do away with one vanity this week and take the time in solitude? I'm going to go around you all. So, Sinead, you giving up your eyebrows this week? Right, so we'll go to the last one. So, it was, do you think of three people in your life that you spend a lot of time with? Do you feel they encourage you in your faith life, and how do they encourage you? Hmm. 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 Right, who's in your group, Eva? Jeanette, go, shout. Hmm. So you're the wee influence and encouragement for him then? Go Veronica. Hmm. Aye. 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 Well, that's exactly what the point was. Aye. It's. Mm. Aye. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Very good. I know it does. No, it does. It does. Makes sense. It does. Anybody else? Mm. 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 Well, you've influenced the Wayne anyway, so. Mm. Oh, good God. Hey, you can come up in if you want. You can come up if you want. Father Stephen wants to join your rosary. No, no problem. Okay, has anybody anything else or anything they want to share? Father, do you want to give some words of wisdom to finish up? Father, would you like to? You're all what say? What say tonight? Eh? Hey, is that a sin? Eh? What blessing? Oh, that's right, aye. Aye. Do you have it? You don't even remember? Did we? No, Father Stephen has a relic of Saint Teresa. So anybody wants to get a wee.